I do have a loud voice, I've been told, so I don't need it? Okay. Well, we're live streaming, so I'm being told I have to use the microphone so everybody can hear me on the live stream. Well, thank you for staying after church. I'm going to probably get you guys out of here in about 4 hours, so don't worry, it's not too late. All right, 4 hours, that's all I got, and normally it's an 8-hour day, but I'll get you out in 4. Joking, I'm going to get you out in like an hour, really. I'm really going to push through this, okay? So, welcome, and thank you for staying after for this Alice training program. Why do I do this? Or who am I and why am I doing this? Well, as you guys all know, most of you guys know me. I'm Dan Gutierrez. I am a sergeant for the Lucas County Sheriff's Office. I've been with the department next month. It'll be 20 years. 20 years I've been with the Sheriff's Office. The last 10 years, I've been assigned to the Professional Standards and Training section. So I'm not out in the street, so I do appreciate all the prayers and they can keep coming, but I'm not out on the street. I'm actually in an office. And what I do is I do all of our training and all of our hiring. Okay, so please pray that we can get more cops in here because we're having a hard time recruiting. So that's what I do. I've done that for the last 10 years, okay? I am a certified Alice instructor through the Alice Training Institute. I have been for about 8 years now. I've trained hundreds, if not thousands, of people in Alice, okay? I've done it all over. I've trained almost every employee in Lucas County, which is a lot. I've been all over. I've been over at Lucas County Common Pleas, the Juvenile Justice Center, Job and Family Services. We actually shut them down for a whole day to do Alice training, okay? I'm also a SORAD instructor, certified through OPATA. What SORAD is the opposite of what I'm teaching you today, or I shouldn't say opposite. What I am teaching you today is on a civilian level, okay? SORAD is what we teach our officers, how to engage an active killer. SORAD stands for Single Officer Response to an Active Threat. So we have a dual purpose. We try to teach the civilian population how to engage an active killer event by the things that I'm going to teach you today. And then we have a SORAD, or another word for it is Raider. We teach our officers how to engage those individuals, okay? So that's me. That's why I'm teaching this, okay? I've got other certificates and stuff, but for this is what I do, okay? Our goal here today is I'm trying to give you, I'm trying to plant the seed per se and get the wheels moving on how, if we have somebody come into our parish here, how we can protect ourselves, okay? Being an officer, my wheels are constantly turning when I'm here, okay? The what ifs, okay? That's my job. My job is my job is to keep those wheels turning on the what ifs. The what ifs that could happen if somebody walks through those doors, okay? You guys come here and you guys are worshiping and praying, and that's what I want you to do. I don't necessarily want you to worry about that. That's my job. But unfortunately, the course of time, we have some bad individuals out there that like to use churches as something that they can have, shoot up, for a lack of a better term, in order to get their point across for some crazy reason. I don't know why. Okay, so this is my goal today, is to provide tactics, techniques, and procedures to enable the staff to create appropriate threat response procedures, okay, and that's what we're going to go over, okay? So, I say killer because that's what they are. They're active killing, okay? Department of Homeland Security defines an active killer as an individual actively engaged in killing or attempting to kill people in a confined, populated area. All right, this is a confined, populated area because it's very confined. We're in a church, okay, and it's very populated because we got a lot of people here. Active killer is somebody who wants to come in here and hurt us, okay? That's what an active killer is. What I'll tell you what an active killer is not, he's not coming in here and turning this into a hostage situation, okay? He's not coming in here for a standoff against law enforcement, all right? And he's not coming in here just to barricade himself. He's coming in here to kill people, plain and simple, plain and simple. When we look back at the most recent, I shouldn't say the most recent because we've had several since then, but one of the biggest shootings that really kind of tugged on all of us was the Uvalde shooting, okay? Was the Uvalde shooting. And when you look at the officer's response to it, was anybody happy with the officer's response? Not at all. Not at all, because they viewed it as a barricaded individual. They know better. All right, they know better. In an active killer event, this is no barricade. They come in here to kill people. They come in here to hurt people. So they should have addressed that accordingly, okay? And they didn't. Now, I'm not going to Monday morning quarterback what they did, but I'm going to probably tell you they had no training at all, okay? And that kind of works in law enforcement, if you guys are not aware of that. We all say we want to do more, but we are how do I want to say it? We get our training funds from the citizens of the county. And the only way and training gets very expensive. And the only way for us to do training is to be real creative on how we reassign people, or taxes start to raise up, and nobody really wants to do that. So training tends to get very expensive, and sometimes it goes to the wayside unless we come up with creative ways to do that. And I'm going to tell you that Uvalde was probably that place that didn't have a lot of training or the funding for training, okay? So what makes an active killer response different? Why is it's different from other things? Well, first of all, the danger is immediate. It's happening right now, okay? People are being killed right now. Secondly, there is no containment. All right, you can't contain that individual. He's coming in here and he's roaming freely. All right, and third, you got about 60 seconds in these active killer events. What's going to happen in 60 seconds? A lot of people are going to die. A lot of people are going to die. Okay, so therefore you can't wait for the police. Okay, the good thing is I'm here. Okay, the good thing is I'm here and I'm in that back constantly watching your guys' back. Okay, but what if you go to a parish that there is no police presence? Now you're waiting for police presence to show up. That could take 6 minutes, 9 minutes, 15 minutes, depending on where that crew is. Plus, somebody has to dispatch that, and somebody has to get those crews rolling. If they're in the middle of a call, they got to break what they're doing. Time is of essence. A lot can happen in 60 seconds. Okay, a lot can happen in 60 seconds. So therefore, we as citizens or parishioners of a church, we have to change the way we react to one of these things. And we can't just wait for the police cavalry to come. We got to do something different. Okay, I just looked these up as I was preparing the PowerPoint for this last week, and I only did a 5-year period because we can go back, okay, and I can add all kinds of crazy numbers. But I thought, you know what, something simple, let's just do 5 years. So, history of house of worship shootings, okay. Do you ever see it's not really, how do I want to say, it's not really publicized when we have a church shooting, but they happen. They happen. The only thing that's really publicized when it comes to mass shootings or active killer events are schools, okay? House of worship shootings happen. We've had 6 since September 24th of 2017, 6 of them. In those 6, 41 people were killed, 36 people were wounded. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of people, okay? 3 of those events, there was police intervention, meaning the police actually got in there and intervened to stop the killer. 2 of them, there was a citizen intervention. That means the parishioners intervened and did something about it. 1 was a killer committed suicide, but that kind of goes hand in hand because he got intervened by a citizen who lived in the neighborhood. Okay, so we're about 50-50. All right, police response and citizen response or parishioner response. Okay, so it does happen. It does happen. So this is our deadliest shooting in history right here. Our deadliest church shooting in history was in the First Baptist Church in Sutherland Springs, Texas. It happened on November 5th, 2017. There was 1 killer and he was armed with a rifle. In that shooting, he killed 26 people and wounded 20, and the victims ranged in age from 1 year old to 77 years old because there were children in that church. Okay? The killer, and I'm not going to say his name even though I put it up there, he was a young man who exited his vehicle, walked into the church and just started shooting up the church with a rifle. Okay, had no connection necessarily to that church. It's just he had a bad day. He had a really bad day. Something in his head clicked, and he said, let me go shoot this church up. Okay, it wasn't until a citizen that lived around the church heard the gunfires, he ran into the church, or he ran up to the church. The killer was on his way out, and he engaged him. Okay, he engaged him, and then what happened next was he fled. The citizen chased him down, and he ultimately crashed his car into a pole, and he killed himself. What would have happened if that citizen didn't intervene? Okay, what would have happened? Could those numbers have been higher? It's possible. It's possible because there was a little bit of citizen intervention there. Things kind of halted. That is too many. That is too many. All right, that is way too many. So the next one, and I put this one on for a reason. It's not the next one in numerical order, but we had a church shooting back in December 29, 2019 at West Freeway Church of Christ. Okay, one killer, armed with a shotgun, walks into the church and engages the parishioners. Okay, the difference between this one is the church actually had a security team. Okay, the church actually had an armed security team. Now I'm going to try to get this to play here. You'll see our suspect is up in the corner right there where it's highlighted. As you see, you got about 4 members of your church who were armed already and engaged that individual. Could that have been worse? I think so. I believe so. Okay, and that was nothing more than he stood up and shot the first 2 people that were in front of him. Okay, and as soon as that happened, they jumped up and engaged. Okay, now, and I'll get into this later on, because usually I do another portion of this training where I talk about stopping the bleed. You can get shot and survive as long as you got life-saving measures available, okay? As long as you got life-saving measures available, and I'll talk about that soon. Okay, so let's get into the program, all right? So I just kind of wanted to lay a history. It does happen in churches, all right? It does happen in churches. All right, we've been fortunate that nothing has happened in one of our churches in this community or in this county, not to my knowledge, but it does happen. So we're going to talk about the ALICE training. ALICE training is empowering all citizens with the skills and knowledge to respond when shots are fired. Okay, the first thing we want to do is, if you look at awareness and communication, we want to have situational awareness to what's going on around us. All right, we live in a digital age now. Okay, we live in a digital age now. Sometimes we are just blinded by other things, such as phones or whatever have you, that we're not paying attention to our surroundings. Okay, we really have to. Okay, we really have to. Because situational awareness is what your perception of the environment is around you. Okay, when I stand back there every day for like the last 9 years now, is I watch and I greet everybody that walks into this parish. Why do I do that? Because I need to know who belongs here and who doesn't. Now, I'm not saying that some people are just going to come in here, you know, to worship, and then I'm going to just solely be fixated on them. But if they don't do certain things that I'm used to, that Catholics come doing when they walk into church, it's going to raise my eyebrows a little bit. All right? If they don't dip their fingers in that fountain and make the sign of the cross, I may be a little bit worried. Okay, if they don't come to that pew and kneel before they go into the pew, I may be a little bit worried. Or at least they're going to be on my radar, okay, because that's my situational awareness, okay? That's my situational awareness. I'm going to make eye contact with everybody and I'm going to talk to everybody. If they immediately look away, maybe I don't think anything of it. But if they continuously do it every time I engage them, my eyebrows are going to go up. My spidey sense is going to go up. All right, and I'm going to keep an eye on that individual. Okay, situational awareness is key. I look at everything. I look at body language. Okay, I can tell from body language if somebody's aggressive or somebody's willing to do something physical to another individual. I can tell just by the way they posture their body up. That's just me being situationally aware of my surroundings. Okay, takes a little practice. Okay, been doing it for a long time, but that's something that we all need to do, is be situationally aware of to the people that are coming into our parish. Okay, now we got to comprehend the meaning behind my perception. Again, maybe if it's only one time and that individual might be having a bad day, does not really want to talk to me, and that's fine. Okay, that's fine. But if it's repeatedly, again, I might raise my questioning up because I want to change my perception on this individual. And hey, how's your day doing? Okay, how are you? What kind of plans do you got for this weekend? Are you going home to watch football when you're done? And if there's no engagement there, okay, it's going to raise my spidey senses. Okay, what we like to call it is I like being left of bang. Has anybody ever heard that term, left of bang? I don't want to be on the right side when everything goes bang. I want to be left of that. All right, I want to be proactive, not reactive. All right, so I'm watching, I'm looking, I'm listening, and I'm engaging everybody I come into contact with. Some of you, I don't have to do it because I've seen you every day or every Sunday for the last 9 years. I know you belong here. But those individuals that I don't know that way, I'm going to engage them. All right, I'm going to engage them. Okay, so situational awareness is key, and we're going to talk about the Cooper Color Code here. All right, the Cooper Color Code of awareness is, it's 5 different colors: white, yellow, orange, red, and black. I usually sit in the orange. Okay, mostly everybody in here, you're probably sitting in the white. And what the white means is you're unaware and unprepared. People in white are oblivious to their environment. Again, that's okay. That's okay. You came here to worship. You didn't come here to think that any minute now somebody could walk through those doors and do you any harm. Again, that's my job. That's my job to worry about that. Okay? That's my job to worry about that. It's not a bad zone to be in, but as the atmosphere in our community heightens with aggression, we have to kind of up that a little bit, okay? So maybe we go to yellow. All right, yellow is you are relaxed and alert. People in yellow are aware of their environment, including others around them. For example, a person in yellow walks with their head up, taking in their surroundings. The person makes quick eye contact with others and observes body language. It's difficult to surprise those individuals. Okay, that's probably where we should be. All right, is in yellow. Not necessarily white, but like I said, if we are creatures of habit, if nothing happens for weeks, months, years on end, then guess what? We never think nothing's going to happen. All right? It's no different than, sometimes I drive my car without any oil for like beyond the 3,000, 5,000 miles. Don't we all do that? Because we're like, hey, nothing's going to happen. I've gone past that until our engine overheats and we got to replace the whole engine. And then we're like, oh, man. Okay? We're just creatures of habit. If we go so long and nothing ever happens, we get complacent and we say, you know what? We don't need to do that. All right? We need to kind of change from going into white into yellow. All right? Change from going into white into yellow. And like I said, here's me, orange. I have a heightened level of awareness. People in orange have a sense that something is going to happen but are not sure what it is. Could be a sense of danger, such as hearing a gunshot or smelling smoke. In orange, people will evaluate their environment and form a plan. I'm always forming a plan. All right, like I said, my wheels are always turning. I'm the what if guy. What if somebody comes through that door? What am I going to do? I've already got it planned out in my head what I'm going to do. I've got it planned out in my head what you guys are going to do or how we're going to get you guys out of here. It's already formulated. Doesn't mean it's going to work, it's foolproof. It's just running through my head. Real quick, it had to be about 2-3 years ago. We had the individuals from Israel, I believe it was, that sell the things in the back. They really freaked me out one day because I was standing out on the porch and I see this van just do about 25, 30 miles down the street, which that didn't freak me out because the people around here, they drive about 25, 35 miles down the street. But what freaked me out was they pulled into the driveway really fast and I didn't recognize the individual. And I'm like, what is going on? And he started running towards me. And I was like, hey, stop. What's going on? Why are you in such a hurry? But he knew he had to come up here and speak about the things that he was selling in the back. And so, okay, calm down, tactical, decelerate down. But that kind of got my spidey sense going. Why is he driving that fast? Okay, when I say left to bang, there's three things. I have to have three anomalies is what I call them before I engage. First anomaly was he was speeding down the street, not a big deal, everybody does. Second anomaly was he hauled butt right up to the driveway. Okay, now I'm on alert. Third thing was he started running towards me. I have to engage this individual. What are you doing? Slow down. How can I help you? I got to go up there and I got to talk. Okay, I set all that stuff up in the back. We're selling those things. I'm from Israel. And I'm like, okay, I got you. But if I did nothing about it and that guy ended up being a bad guy, then how does that look that I did not engage that individual? Okay, so I'm always in orange, okay? Red is when the danger becomes real. A person in red is involved in dangerous situation, is responding. That's when everything just falls apart and now I got to engage. I am in a fight with this individual, okay? Actions will be dependent on the threat and the training received to respond. That's where you guys would be if somebody came in here and started shooting. What do? You're in red now. And what do? You go back to what you were trained in. How many of you have ever had any ALICE training or active shooter training? So about 6 out of about 30 or 40 that are sitting here, okay? Your human brain, it's like a file cabinet. It has files in there, okay? Under stress, the human brain will go through those file cabinets in a matter of time and pull out that file that is conducive to that situation. Well, if you have no training on dealing with an active killer event, guess what's going to happen? It's going to go back to what you know. And what do you know? Nothing other than fire drills, bomb drills, and tornado drills. Does that about seem right? Because what were you taught since kindergarten? How to escape a fire drill, danger. How to escape a tornado drill, danger. How to escape a bomb drill, danger. So your danger file is filled with things that aren't going to help you in the event in an active killer event. So we have to change that. And that's why we have training like the ALICE training. Okay, because we got to put a new file in there on how to interact in this situation. Okay? What we don't want is code black. That's a complete breakdown. We freeze. Okay? Complete breakdown to a violent critical incident. Now, normally when I do this training, it takes me all day. It literally takes me an 8-hour day because I bring in other speakers and we do other things about how the human brain responds, how to stop bleeding, and then we do we break for lunch and then we do full-blown scenarios. I bring role players in. They're shooting live guns with blanks in it and everything. I've done hundreds and thousands of people. I've had about 3 to 4 people mentally break down. They were just a mess. Okay? They broke down. They were so bad in code black that they were not able to function for about a week after that. Okay? Because we run this through the county and risk management. So risk management usually calls me and says, I got somebody who put in to take the next week off because of your training. And now I apologize. I say, I'm very, very sorry. And I usually talk to that individual and I tell them, I said, don't feel bad about breaking down. That's a natural response. But it's better that we found out in a safe environment than to find out when it actually hit the fan. Okay? So now we need to train that individual a little bit more, and now her coworkers need to understand where she's going to be in the time of that event. She's going to physically break down. So what are you going to do? You got to grab her. All right? You got to grab her. You got to wake her up. You got to shake her. Let's go. Okay? Because people do get into that cold black. All right? And it's better for us to find out in training than to find out in the actual event that has taken place. Okay? So that's a Cooper color code of awareness. Like I said, I sit in orange. You guys should be sitting in yellow. Okay? We don't ever want to go to black. Okay? So the initial awareness you receive by your sense of is the first notification of danger, the information you receive. For us in this church, it would be gunshots. Because believe me, a gunshot in this church, it's going to stand out. It's going to echo very, very loud. It's going to catch everybody off guard. Because has anybody ever heard a gunshot in a closed environment? Not at a gun range, not where you got earplugs in. I'm talking about a closed environment with no earplugs, no hearing protection at all. It's loud. It's very, very loud, and it is going to freak you out. Your heart is going to automatically start racing. Your pulse is going to automatically start racing. So that's really going to throw you off. The human body is going to start going to all kinds of weird stuff because it's not used to that. Okay? It's not used to that. So if we hear that, we need to hurry up and respond to that and not freeze. Okay, not freeze. Sometimes it'd be different depending on what environment we're in, like if we're in a big building, wherever you work at, and somebody texts you, somebody says something, hey, there's a shooter down on the first floor. There's a shooter in the north wing. But for us here, it'd be that first gunshot that cracks back there. Okay, and they're probably shooting at me, so you would hear me screaming and hollering, and I would be engaging that individual also. Okay, did you have a question, ma'am? Okay, so that's what we need to do, all right? The senses that we would be receiving would be auditory senses, that we would be hearing a gunshot go back there, and you would hear me screaming at the top of my lungs, okay, to try to get that individual to stop, or I'm gonna eliminate him as much as I can. Okay, so the information. Now, when we talk about information, again, I'm thinking of here, because the threat is immediate. It's right in our room. This is one big room, but it's right in our room. I don't really have time to really call anybody, okay, and say, hey, here's what's going on. You guys don't have time. They're here. The only one that probably has time to make a phone call is somebody up in that balcony. All right, that's the only person that probably has time to make a phone call and get me help is the balcony. So balcony people, think about that, okay? Because somebody who comes in here who's an active killer, he's kind of one-sided. He's kind of focused on one thing, and that's getting through me to get to you guys. He's not thinking about that balcony up there. All right, he's not thinking about that balcony. He's going to walk right underneath it and not think twice about it. Okay, so if he gets past me, then yes, the balcony needs to start making phone calls and getting information. But as it says, no code words, plain language. Plain language. You tell 911 what you got going on. I would hope the response would be immediate, but again, depending on where those crews are, we don't know. We don't know how long it would take. All right, providing information allows people to evacuate, lock down, or multiple options during that event. Your best option would be to evacuate. All right, that's your best option. Again, I've been in this church for a long time. I don't know if we could lock down this church. Once he's in here, where are we going to lock down at? All right, I don't think we have any great options to lock down. And that's okay because we have a lot of exits. Okay? So sending information, like I said, it's usually providing people. This is more applies to you in your workplace. Okay, this more applies to you in your workplace. Because again, when you're in your workplace, sometimes that event might start somewhere to where you're not, and that information can go out. But again, this is kind of like a big open area here. Like I said, Lord forbid they get past me, okay, now it's free roaming in here. Free roaming in here. Okay, so if anybody is able to get any information out, you have to give the police as much information as possible. I have a radio with me at all times. My radio is directly linked to dispatch. But again, if somebody comes through that door, I'm not going to have time to get on that radio and make the necessary calls that I need to make. I'm trying to get this individual to stop. I'm trying to eliminate that threat so he doesn't do anything to anybody in here. Okay, so keep that in mind. Even if you can get a call out, get that call out. But if you can't, don't worry about it. It's just our environment here. Okay? Evacuation. Like I said, I think this is our best option. Does everybody know where the exits are in here? We have a lot. All right, we have a lot. Again, I hold that down back there. All right? Most churches are set up similar, correct? Most churches are set up similar. Everybody's got their back towards the door. They're facing up front. I've got that back there. That's why I stand back there. That way everybody can pray and worship without worrying about your back. I got your back. Okay? But what I do worry about is that door right there. That's what I worry about. I worry about that door. All right? And I worry about that because if I've got that back there, I can't be here and there at the same time. That's where you guys come in. I need everybody to be focused on that door. When that door opens, everybody's head should go whoop. All right? And I do too. And usually we only have a couple parishioners that come through that door. Okay? Especially once church service starts going. We have the young lady that comes in with the walker all the time, but usually I know she's usually here by about 10 after, maybe no later than that. All right, no later than that. So that means 10:15, that door should be locked. That way that's not something that we are worried about. About 10:15, that door should be locked. And there has been occasion, if I'm back there and I see she walks through, I'm walking around without you guys knowing it, and I'm pinning that door. And what I mean by pinning it, there's just a little pin on the inside of the door. We push it, and now it locks. I do that without you guys noticing it. All right, but there was times we would leave that door open, and I'm like, no, bad idea. Why are we leaving that door open? Okay, bad idea. We can leave those doors open because most people come through that way, and I am standing there. Okay, and I am greeting everybody that walks through that door. So they have to understand, if a bad guy comes through there, he knows he's got to get through me. Maybe he changes his mind that day and says, you know what, that's not happening. I'm not going to deal with that individual. He has a firearm on him too. And he's probably trained at it better than I am, so I'm going to move on. Not today. Okay, but we should be worried about that door right there. And like I said, 10:15, it should usually be locked. Okay, it should usually be locked. Yes, sir. Those are always locked. Those are always locked, yes. So, evacuation. Again, if that first gunshot goes off back there, I'm the one reacting to it. Everybody else needs to beat feet and get out of here. Now, depending on how many people we have in here, that could be a real problem for a lot of people squeezing through one door, correct? That's why we open up multiple doors. And those are really simple to open up, even though occasionally they get stuck. Okay, occasionally get stuck, but they will open. You got an exit there, you got an exit there, and if you go through the sacristy, there are two mirroring exits. Okay, so everybody can just hightail it to the exits, get out of here. Okay, because again, I'm going to be the one engaging that individual. Again, if he gets through me, then we got a problem. All right, we got a problem. So get out. Get out. I don't need your help, okay, and I don't mean that in a bad way. That's my job. That's my job to engage that individual. I want you guys to be safe and get out. And you know, and I've always thought about this. If something happens to me, what better place to move on, right? What better place to move on, okay? So I'm okay with that. I've accepted that. That's my job, okay? Like I said, I don't need you to stay and help me out. All right, if you do, that's great. All right, I'm not going to turn your help down. We're going to get this individual. But I don't need you to. I need you guys to get out. All right, I need you guys to get out, okay? And leave everything behind. Don't try to pick up the purse. Don't try to pick up your bag. Just go. Just run. Like I said, there's 4 exits. One there, one there, one there, one there. try to get out. Try to get out. I will tell you this, don't go out that way because we got to lock the gate. And we lock that gate on purpose so nobody comes through that gate. All right? Head out that way and go around. Okay? So it's probably good to familiarize yourself with that. In an event, if I had to evacuate, what do I do? Where do I go? How do I run? How do I retreat? All right? Always keep that in mind. Don't go that way, go that way. All right? Go that way. Once outside the building, just leave. We don't need rallying points. We're all grown adults. This ain't school to where we need to account for every student. Leave. All right? As long as we don't have bodies on the floor, we're okay if you get out and we don't find out, we're not doing a head count after church. Okay? We're not doing that. This isn't school. This is we're all parishioners at a church, and I just want you to leave, okay? Lockdown I think would be really difficult for us. Where are we going to lock down at? In the back of the sacristy? Why would we lock down? We've got 2 exits, so there's really no need to lock down. Now, can we put something in front of those doors to make it harder if we do get in there and now we're having a hard time? Sure. We got to think about our parishioners too. Do we have some parishioners that are less mobile? All right, maybe they can't get out of those exits, so that'd be the only reason why we would barricade. Okay, and now barricading is nothing more than making yourself a harder target by barricading that door. You would have to think of ways to barricade that room. So you would have to actually go in the sacristy, look at what you got, and say, what can I do to make that door harder? Okay, because it's a wooden door with windows on it. All right, a bullet's going to go right through that. Okay, so how are we going to make it harder? If you don't have a time to evacuate, or you have people that are less mobile, but we can get them to that back room, then we need to make that a harder place to get into. I know there's tables, there's chairs and everything, but you also have to consider which way the doors swing open. Okay? Because again, we've done this training before, done it under stress, and people have completely barricaded their door, and guess what? All they did was pull the door open. And now nothing that you put in front of that is going to prevent that door from opening because the door swung out. So you have to be careful of what kind of door you have. Does it swing in? Does it swing out? Because that's going to make a difference on how you barricade. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. That's going to make a big difference on how you barricade that door. All right. You need to look at that door. You need to be familiar with what kind of doors you have. I was just at Monclova Elementary. Anybody got any children or grandchildren that go to Monclova Elementary? They got a really nice setup on their doors. It probably cost them a pretty penny, but they're going in the right direction when it comes to safety for their school. They got these little ram things that go in the, they ordered them off Grangers. They're about, I think, $75 a piece, but they're on every door. They got holes drilled into the ground, and it's just a plated piece of steel that goes into the door. That way the door can't be pushed open. Okay? Not saying that we have to go to that extreme, because again, we got 2 doors that I think we could lock down if we had to. But the good thing about those doors is we have exits. We have exits. Okay, so always keep in mind which way the door opens. Does it open out? Does it open in? Okay, once the door is controlled, spread out in the room. All right, spread out in the room. Even if somebody can get in there or he's taking pop shots at you, he can't focus on a whole bunch of stuff going on. The human brain can't do it. Okay, don't huddle in the corner. Don't huddle on the floor. Don't be something that somebody's going to stick a gun in there and just start taking shots. Be ready to move or distract the intruder. Call 911. Locate your go bucket. That's not something we're going to talk about today, but I kind of have a feeling you guys might know what that's about. Okay, a go bucket is just something that has stuff in it. Here's the important part. This is the part I like, is the counter strategy, the distractions. This means if all else fails, all right, I get taken out, I'm done, I'm back there and I'm no good to you. What are you guys going to do now? What are you guys going to do now? You have to distract and control. How do we distract? Okay, how do we distract? I'm going to tell you right now that probably the best distraction device we got in here is, what do you think you got? Because you got 6 of them. Fire extinguishers. You got 6 fire extinguishers. You got one there, one by the confessional, and one back there. All right? I would make sure if I was a parishioner here, sitting here worshiping, I'm sitting right next to that fire extinguisher. Okay? I'm being honest. I'm sitting right next to that fire extinguisher. All right? Because that is a great distraction. All right? Why is it a good distraction? Any firemen in here? Dave's not here. All right? We talked about this. Me and Dave talked about this. A fire extinguisher robs a fire of what? Oxygen. So imagine if I spray that in somebody's face. What is it going to do? It's going to temporarily rob you of oxygen. Okay? Possibly, I wouldn't say necessarily blind you, but again, it's a good distraction. And we have it here. We have 3 of them. 3 there, 3 there. Do you know where they're at? I'm going to be honest. I didn't know where they were at because I walk past them every day. But you should be familiar where your fire extinguishers are. Again, bad guy gets past me. 6 of you grab fire extinguishers and you start spraying the bad guy in the face. What do you think is going to happen? He's not going to be able to focus. He's not going to be able to focus. And then what can you do with that fire extinguisher? Hit him in the head with it. Hit him in the head with it. Okay? So like I said, fire extinguishers are a good distractionary tool. What other distractionary tools do we have in here? Yes? The hymnals, absolutely. The hymnals. Bad guy comes walking through, Dan's down. Everybody stands up, throws a hymnal. What do you think's going to happen? He's got to duck. He can't focus. He can't focus. Typically, nobody likes anything thrown at them, right? Because what happens if you throw something at somebody? What happens? You duck, right? Or you see that coming, and you're like, what is going on? Why am I ducking from that? Whoops, sorry. She didn't duck. That's why I'm glad it's only a ping pong ball. All right? But even when we know something's coming at them, what do we tend to do? We duck or we put our hands up. So again, if I got somebody who, and this is a fake gun, all right, it's plastic. If I got somebody pointing a gun at me and something starts getting thrown at them, what's going to happen? They're going to duck. They're going to pull in. Those are opportunities. Anytime somebody does that, anytime somebody pulls away or somebody takes their focus off of you, that's an opportunity. Yes, Nancy? I'd rather throw it at him. I'd rather you throw it at him. Yes, I'd rather have you throw it at the bad guy. Here's another thing we discussed, and me and Rusty were discussing this last week. You guys are really good at bringing in food items, okay? But we keep the carts in the back. Why not move them up here in the front? Put food items in front, because the majority of you sit towards the front. And is there any good distractionary devices in there? Canned goods. Canned goods are excellent because, again, we're not trying to have a really heightened sense of threat that every time we come to church, we're afraid that somebody's going to shoot it up. That's not what we're saying. But we have things here that we can use. So if we have those carts brought up here instead, and let's say we constantly keep canned goods in there, canned goods are a great distractionary device. Has anybody ever been hit in the head with a can of soup? Charlene, you have? Does it hurt? Oh yeah. Again, if everybody goes to that, digs that out, grabs a can of soup or a can of beets or whatever's in there, peas, salmon, whatever's in there, and they go in there and they just start whipping it at this individual, what's going to happen? He's going to duck. He has to. He's not that good. He can't just bypass that and say, oh, I'm just going to get hit by all this stuff. He's not going to do it. He's going to duck. He's going to take his eye off you. And then that's where you come in and you control him. Okay? We have other things in here. What else do we have? We have a lot of flagpoles in here. We have a lot of flagpoles in. Flagpoles can always be used like a spear, if you know what I'm saying. We just run towards that individual after we distract them with all the cans of soup. Okay? There should be cans of soup up there in that balcony too. There should be. Because again, if the balcony is not something that a shooter comes in and he's just fixated on all of you, what about the people in the balcony? They can just start raining that stuff at that individual. Okay? Be careful though, now you're drawing his attention. All right, be careful, now you're drawing his attention. So you might have to fleet back a little bit to where they can't engage you. Okay, where they can't engage you. All right, this is a demonstration, or I'm sorry, this ain't it yet. So overwhelming the decision-making process of the attacker. Like I said, the attackers come in with one thing and one thing only. I'm going to kill as many people as I can. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to come in there, I'm going to kill as many people as I can. And what they're going to, and what they believe is that there's nobody in here that's going to fight them. Because as soon as I come in and I point that gun in their face and I shoot somebody and they drop, everybody's going to freak out. And they're just going to concede to me. We got to flip the script on that. Okay, overwhelming the decision-making process of the attacker. It says research shows that the brain cannot perform two functions at the same time. So again, if I come in here to just actively shoot and you guys fight me back, I can't do both. I can't shoot you and I can't, you know what I mean, defend myself too. So something's going to happen. I'm going to eventually get overwhelmed. Something's going to happen because I can't do both. Okay? And it provides time for you to use another technique or strategy, using environmental objects. We talked about it. And the pathway to the brain is a visual pathway of the head. What I see is what I'm processing. And if I see soup cans coming at me, I'm processing soup cans coming at me. What I'm not seeing is another parishioner running like crazy with a flagpole sticking me in my side. Okay? There's other things here too. Fireman's Memorial over there is fantastic. I mean, there really is. There's a Halligan tool over there. There's an axe over there. I'm not trying to get too brutal. I'm just saying it's over there. Okay? I'm just saying it's over there. My brothers over here, we don't have a lot going on. Okay? And we're supposed to be the ones that are a little bit more amped up, but the firemen got all kinds of tools over there. Okay? So we have things, again, to protect ourselves. We have things to protect ourselves. And like I said, it's just here. All right, it's just here. We're using them for a different reason. All right, so this is what we call the OODA loop. Observe, orient, decide, and act. That's what the human brain does. Okay, it observes something, it orientates to it, it makes a decision, and it acts upon it. Okay, it's just like the ping pong ball that I just threw. You knew what I was throwing a ping pong ball. You observed it, you orientated your brain to it, you made a decision, and you acted. You either stood there and watched it come and hit you, or you moved. Okay, the human brain does it in a nanosecond. Everything we do in life, we do the OODA loop. Observe, orient, decide, and act. We have to disrupt that OODA loop. Okay, we have to disrupt that OODA loop. It's almost like driving a car down the street. Car goes down the street, we think we're just going down the street, right? Semi comes the other way, not a big deal. But then we get distracted. What happens when we get distracted? This happens every day, right? Every day there's distracted drivers rolling down the street. Okay, that OODA loop has been disrupted. We think we're just driving down the street, not a big deal. We're going through a green light. We see another car coming, not a big deal. Anybody ever go down Secor Road over by Westgate? Very tight, very tight. I mean, every time I drive down there going towards UT or something, I'm like, man, this is real. I'm going to rip a mirror. I'm going to rip a mirror. Now, if I'm distracted for just a bit, it's going to get kind of hairy there. It's going to get kind of hairy there. Okay, that's what distraction does. All right, this is an example. You can look at that red dot. You can follow that red dot, and it's really simple to follow that red dot because we're just focusing on the red dot, one thing. That's all we're focusing on is one thing. Now, if we amp it up a little bit and we add a couple of different things there, or the movement gets a little bit faster, We can still follow it, but it's going to be a little bit harder. Let's add a couple of different colors to it. 2 different things that are now going on. All right? That's even more harder to follow. Okay, so when we have multiple things to interact with, the human brain is going to have a harder time focusing on one thing. So again, we want to change that focus of somebody shooting at us and switch it up by engaging that individual. Okay, so that's what we do. That's how we disrupt the OODA loop. We throw things at them. We move. We scream. Does anybody in here hate loud noises? I hate it. Like when my kids are talking both at the same time, and I got adult children. I don't have kids. I have adult children. My youngest is going to be 21 next month. But they live with me because they don't want to leave the house. As much as I want them to leave the house, they don't want to leave the house. What's that? Yeah, it's too easy. They get to live for free. But I got a 21-year-old and I got a 30-year-old, and they don't want to leave the house. But when they're both talking and the TV's playing and my daughter's playing TikTok and my son's playing a video game, it's auditory overload. Our brain starts to do some things, right? Our brain starts to, man, why is all this auditory processing? I can't do it. I got to walk away. We would do the same thing, again, if an individual walks in here. It's part of disrupting that OODA loop. We start throwing things at them. We start running at them. We start moving around. We start screaming at the top of our lungs. And our voices, they carry here. So what do you think is going to happen? Auditory and sensory overload. Again, if we don't do anything and we just become that victim for them to engage in us, and that's the only one thing they have to do, we're going to become victims. We can't. We have to have that warrior mindset and disrupt that OODA loop. So now it comes to the control. Because everybody says, okay, we do all that, now what do we do? You got to have 5 people that are willing to engage that individual. And what I mean by that is we got to have 5 people that are willing to grab that person. Okay, and now we do this, I run our corrections academies. It's about a 10-week program for you to be certified in the state of Ohio as a corrections officer. And I run our corrections programs, and at the very end, we do CERT team training. All right, and CERT team training is we have to get these individuals to be able to go into a cell and take somebody out of a cell who does not want to come out of a cell. And we got to do it in the most humane way as possible. So instead of us just running in there and swinging, what do? We go in there with a 5-man team, and we go in there and we focus on one thing. Each individual focuses on one thing. All right, you guys are going to do the same thing. Worst case scenario, bad guy gets past me, we counter, we disrupt their OODA loop, and now 5 people need to grab that individual. 1 person grabs the right arm, 1 person grabs the left arm, 1 person grabs the right leg, 1 left leg, and 1 grabs the head. And I don't care how big they are, I don't care how strong they are. There is no way 1 man is going to be able to control a whole human body on 1 arm. It's not going to happen. And what do you do now? You take that individual to the ground and you just swarm him, just like those kids are doing right there. Okay? They're not going to get up. I promise you. I promise you. You just lay heavy on them, you grab a limb, and you hold on forever until the good guys come. All right? Until the good guys come. When you control them that way, like I said, we've done it. I've worked in a jail. I worked in a jail for 8 years, and we've had to use the same tactic. And are they gonna move a little and you feel like they're gonna throw you off? They are. But then you know what? If you see that, somebody else will jump on top and just put body weight on that individual. Okay, just put body weight on that individual. Okay, but it can be used. We teach kids this in high school. You guys can do it. All right. Like I said, you disrupt that OODA loop, you get him off, make him focus on the individuals that are throwing things at him. Make them focus on the individual that's coming out of nowhere, hitting them with the flagpole, and then somebody grabs an arm. Once that arm is captured, somebody grabs the other arm, so on and so forth. Grab a leg, grab the head, and all your body weight, you drop down to the ground until that individual falls. Okay? Now the weapon itself, I need you to secure that weapon, but I don't need you to hold on to it. Don't need you to hold on to it, because what happens if the good guys come running through and they see somebody holding that gun? Typically, there's not a lot of questioning. Are you the bad guy? All right, it's instantaneous. We're probably going to engage you, and we would hate to see any innocent bystander get shot because they're holding on to that gun. Secure that gun. Put it in a garbage can. Putting it in a garbage can is like the universal sign for us law enforcement officers that know that there's probably a weapon in there, and that's why they're holding on to it. Don't hold on to it. Don't try to take it into your own hands and you're holding that person at gunpoint. Don't do that, because we do not want the good guys to come running through there and they see you with a gun. Put it down. Put it in a garbage can. Secure it, move it out of the way, hide it, do something with it. Okay, but don't hold on to it. So, like I said, we're all those things that we're talking about. We have a Teddy Roosevelt quote that says, in any moment of decision, the best thing you can do is the right thing. The next best thing you can do is the wrong thing. The worst thing you can do is nothing. If we do nothing, we're going to have a harder time surviving one of these events. But if we do something, our chances improve. All right, just like you've seen it early on with the video in the church shooting, to where you had people that were on a security team and engaged. That could have been far worse. We don't have enough time to talk about life-saving measures, but get a stop control bleeding kit in here. Get some tourniquets. Get some chest seals. Okay, and learn how to use it. I know we have a lot of people who are a part of the church that are in the medical profession. I carry this in my truck everywhere I go. It's got about 4 tourniquets in there. It's got a chest seal, and it's got wound packing. Okay, and that's just in case something ever bad. I've never had to use it. I've had it for about 10 years. I've never had to open it, but it's there if I need it. I ordered everything off of Amazon. It cost me like $50. Okay, we should have these. Okay, that way in case. Okay, because I know somebody's going to say, you know what, I really don't want to get shot. Nobody does. Nobody does. But if we don't do anything, okay, we're all going to get shot. Okay, so if I do get shot, I mean, we got some people in here that I'm pretty sure that can save somebody's life, okay, with the right tools. Okay, with the right tools. And the good thing you guys got going for yourselves, you're right around the corner from Station 5. Okay, that's one of the busiest life squads in the city of Toledo. I know because my dad was a fireman and he used to work there. Okay, they're one of the busiest they're right around the corner. How quick do you think they're going to be here? They're going to be here pretty quick. And a lot of times, and we've done research on this, a lot of people get shot and they don't die from the gunshot wound. What do you think they die from besides bleeding out? They give up in their head. They completely give up. I'm dead. I'm dying. I got shot. You got to change that mindset. I got people here who can help me. I got people here who can save me, and I'm going to live through this. Okay? That's all I got. Usually I can go on for hours, but I don't want to keep you guys here too long. Does anybody have any questions for me? Yes, ma'am. For a fire extinguisher? For a fire extinguisher, you're saying? Yeah, and I could see what you're saying, but realistically, we're just going to pull that pin and squeeze. That's all it is. We're going to pull that ring out, and we're just going to squeeze. Yeah, it's fairly simple. Yes. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am. Right now, the state of Ohio does have an open carry law. Here's the problem I have with open carry, is now you become a target. Because who am I going to take out? I'm going to take out the person with the gun, the other person with a gun. You know what I mean? Again, that's my job. That's my job. My job is to take all the stuff that somebody could throw at you guys, assault you. I'm going to be the one who's going to be assaulted. I'm going to be the one who's shot at. That's my job. I don't want the spotlight put on any one of you. Anything else? Oh, yeah. Yeah, we still can. Yeah, we still can. Yeah, sometimes we just got to be careful. We just got to be really careful. Yeah. At the end here, for any of you guys who read that already, it's a mindset. It's a mindset. All right, everybody read that? I need you to fight like you're the third monkey on the raft to Noah's Ark. Okay, and it's starting to rain. Because how many monkeys made it? Only two. Only two monkeys made it on that ark. All right, you got to fight like you're that third monkey trying to get on that ark, man. All right, and that's what it is. It's changing the mindset. It's a warrior mindset. We drill this into some of our corrections officers that have never been working in an environment to where they're possibly going to be assaulted. They're possibly going to have interactions with somebody who dislikes them. And what usually happens, we don't like to be engaged. All right, just as human beings, we don't like to be engaged. All right, we don't like aggression coming our way. We tend to kind of back up from aggression. Sometimes aggression, the only way to defeat aggression is with more aggression. Okay, and you got to change your mindset. You got to have a warrior mindset, and that's why we like using that. Fight like the third monkey on the ramp to Noah's Ark. All right, yes, ma'am. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that. I would try to, again, first thing I would do is evacuate, get out. Don't hide, because hiding doesn't really do us any good. All right? If anybody remembers Virginia Tech, the Virginia Tech shooting, they found a lot of dead students lying on the ground underneath a table. And when they started doing their debrief on it and they started looking into it, they come to find out that the bad guy was at a local range. And they thought it was weird because none of his targets were eye level. They were all down here. And they were wondering, why is he shooting down? Well, he knows. What's our playbook? First thing that's going to come to our head is what? I'm going to get under the pews and hide. None of these pews are bulletproof. Okay, so he knows that. Bad guys know it. First thing we're going to do is we're going to pull that file out of the brain under stress. And our first thing we're going to do is we're going to duck. That does us no good. We have to get out. We have to get out. Anything else? I know probably everybody's got brunch and breakfast, so I'm going to let you guys go, because so do I. Thank you. Oh, you're welcome.